The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, Hollywood had a brand new obsession.
It's such a visceral image, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, picture this. You are away from the blinding glare of the paparazzi, and inside, there is this young Hollywood starlet.
Right.
She is only 18 years old, and she is hysterically crying, slumped over a toilet. Her entire world has just completely crumbled.
It is the ultimate Hollywood pressure cooker moment.
Exactly. And the catalyst for all of this, a breakup she never, ever saw coming. It is dramatic, it is raw, and honestly, it changes everything.
We see the heartbreak, right? We see the headlines, but we rarely look at the complex psychological machinery operating behind the scenes.
Which is exactly what we are doing today. Welcome to Starscope Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today's deep dive is based on a massive story. The breakup Hayden Panettiere never saw coming, and how it changed everything. We are figuring out how that exact moment explains our own, frankly, toxic obsession with celebrity culture.
It really is a fascinating angle. We are taking the raw, unfiltered reality of Hayden's life, specifically drawn from her incredibly candid, upcoming 2026 memoir, This Is Me, A Reckoning.
I can't wait for that book, by the way.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
And we are crashing her personal experiences head-on into a dense, illuminating academic study from Undickness University. It is all about the psychology of media audiences.
Because we aren't just going to rehash tabloid gossip here. We are going to use communication theory to figure out why you, me, and the rest of the world are so driven to consume the private lives of people we've never actually met.
Which is a dynamic we so rarely interrogate, right? We usually think of ourselves as passive observers, just watching the lives of the rich and famous unfold from a distance.
Yeah, sitting on the couch.
Exactly. But when you apply this academic framework to a life as heavily documented as Hayden's, you start to realize that the audience is actually a highly active participant, sometimes like a really aggressive one.
So let's get into the main event. Hayden Panettiere and Milo Ventimiglia.
Such a massive pop culture moment.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
If you were paying any attention to pop culture in the late 2000s, you know they met on the set of the NBC superhero show Heroes.
Save the cheerleader, save the world.
That's the one. So they dated from 2007 to 2009. But the thing that really drove the relentless paparazzi coverage at the time was the age gap.
Right. She was 18 and he was 30.
The 12-year age gap.
Which is significant on its own, but when one of those people is essentially a teenager just entering adulthood, it creates a massive power dynamic.
Absolutely.
And the media immediately seized on that friction. They framed it as the innocent cheerleader and the brooding older protector. They were basically mapping their television roles directly onto their real-world relationship.
And people absolutely devoured that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
But let's fast forward to the 2009 split. According to Hayden's recent press tour for her book, this breakup came completely out of left field for her.
Out of nowhere.
Literally nowhere. There was no scandalous cheating rumor. There was no explosive dish-throwing fight. Milo simply initiated the breakup.
And her reaction was intense.
So intensely negative, that visceral crying over the toilet scene we opened with, that is exactly what happened.
Right.
The sheer shock on Milo's face actually prompted him to briefly take her back.
Wow. But we have to look at the underlying friction that caused the rift, though, because it strips away all the Hollywood glamour.
What was the real issue?
Well, Hayden admitted in her interviews that a major point of contention between them was simply her inability to say, "I love you," with any real gravity.
Wait, really? She couldn't say the words?
She noted she could only say it in a casual, almost flippant way. Milo, being 30, was deeply aware of the weight of those words. He understood the commitment they implied.
That makes sense for where he was in life.
Exactly, and Hayden felt she was investing her whole self into the relationship, and she even hoped it would lead to marriage. But she had this profound mental block when it came to vocalizing the depth of that specific phrasing.
I have to push back on her reasoning there, though. I mean, if she genuinely saw him as a life partner, and if she was already envisioning marriage, why couldn't she just form the words?
It's a fair question.
It makes me wonder if this is just the inevitable result of being a child star. It's like a seasoned athlete who has all the muscle memory for the sport, right?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
They know every play in the playbook. They can execute flawlessly under pressure, but they've been drilled so mechanically for so long that they actually forget how to just play the game for fun.
That is a great analogy. And if you take that muscle memory concept a step further and apply it to a developing human brain, it gets really dark.
How so?
In her personal essay for New Beauty magazine, Hayden provides the context for this. She has been acting steadily since she was 4 years old. 4.
That is just so young to be working like that.
Imagine what that does to your emotional regulation. In the essay, she describes the surreal experience of growing up on sets. At 8 or 9 years old, she would have to learn how to tap into incredibly deep psychological trauma to cry hysterically on cue for a heartbreaking scene.
Right.
Then, 20 minutes later, the director yells, "Cut!" and she has to completely switch off those intense emotions, wipe her face, and go sit at a folding table to do her algebra homework.
Oh, wow. That is profound emotional whiplash.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically rewiring your brain to treat vulnerability like a light switch.
Exactly. The neurological pathway for performing an emotion gets incredibly strong, while the pathway for genuinely feeling and expressing it safely in real life starts to atrophy.
So the performance becomes her reality.
That extreme mental flexibility became her baseline. So when you spend your entire formative development learning to manufacture and compartmentalize your deepest feelings on command to please an audience, genuine emotional intimacy in your private life becomes terrifying.
That is so sad to think about.
It really is. The words "I love you" might feel like lines in a script rather than a truth you actually know how to express without a director present.
The very survival tool that made her a successful actress completely handicapped her personal life.
It did.
But here is where it gets really interesting. And if you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed, by the way, because we have got even crazier stories ahead in this deep dive.
Oh, the twist is wild.
It is. We think we know everything about these stars based on who they date. We put them in these neat little boxes and assume we have their psychology all figured out. But Hayden was keeping a massive, fundamental secret from the public for decades.
A secret that changes everything.
Everything. It completely changes how we view her entire romantic history. We will get to that shocking twist in a moment, but first, we need to examine the other half of this equation.
Right, which is us, the audience. Because her story certainly doesn't end with Milo Ventimiglia.
Not even close. The public remained absolutely ravenous for details about her subsequent relationships. I mean, we watched her brief romance with NFL player Scotty McKnight.
Mm-hmm.
We heavily scrutinized her on and off, decade-long relationship with the heavyweight boxer Vladimir Klitschko. They share an 11-year-old daughter, Kaya, by the way.
And the height difference in that relationship was practically its own tabloid genre.
Literally.
Uh-huh.
And then we agonizingly witnessed her tragic, highly publicized, abusive relationship with Brian Hickerson from 2018 to 2022.
It was everywhere.
The tabloids printed every bruise, every police report, every dramatic court appearance. Which brings us to the core question of this deep dive. Why? Why do we consume a stranger's deeply personal trauma as if it's a Friday night movie?
To answer that, we have to look at the academic study from the Journal of Communication Studies and Society. This paper completely dismantles how we traditionally view our role as spectators.
Okay, break that down for us.
For decades, media theorists operated on the assumption that audiences were entirely passive. The idea was that we were just mindless sponges, the classic couch potato theory, absorbing whatever narrative the mass media decided to feed us.
So if the tabloid said someone was a train wreck, we just passively agreed.
Exactly. But this paper argues that the couch potato is a myth. The researchers highlight modern theorists like Croteau and Livingstone who argue we are actually active audiences.
Active audiences. What does that mean in practice?
It means we don't just receive media, we actively interpret it, we manipulate it, and we socially construct our own meaning from it. We force the media to bend to our will.
Wait, how does an audience actually force reality to bend? Walk me through the mechanism of that.
The study provides a brilliant parallel case study from Indonesia that illustrates this perfectly. It examines the celebrity couple Lesti Kejora and Rizky Billar.
Oh, I've heard about this. They met on a television talk show, right?
Yes. Now, what initially made them interesting wasn't just that they were famous. It was that they were both publicly heartbroken because their respective exes had recently married other people.
That is undeniably great television. Two lonely, heartbroken stars sitting next to each other.
Right. But the media didn't explicitly say these two are going to date. Instead, the active audience noticed their shared fate and weaponized it.
Weaponized it how?
The audience took the raw material of these two human beings and formed a massive collective fandom called Leslar, which is a combination of their names. And they didn't just passively hope for a romance. They used social media algorithms to force it into existence.
That is wild.
They created thousands of fan cam edits, flooded network comment sections, and wrote extensive fan fiction. They essentially hacked the media cycle, creating such a loud, monetizable demand that the celebrities and the PR teams were virtually forced to lean into the romance.
It's like we're playing with real-life Sims or action figures. We aren't just watching these celebrities on a screen. We get a tangible dopamine hit from controlling their narrative. We want to be the directors. The study calls this being prosumers, right? Meaning we are simultaneously producers and consumers of the culture.
That's a perfect way to explain it. When you take a clip of a celebrity looking sad, put a moody pop song behind it, and post it online, you are taking an existing media product, adding your own emotional interpretation, and producing a brand new cultural artifact. You are a prosumer.
So applying that to Hayden Panettiere, when we watched her and Milo Ventimiglia on Heroes, we completely blurred the lines between their fictional on-screen romance and their real-world reality.
Oh, absolutely did.
We liked the narrative of the invincible cheerleader and the brooding hero. It felt satisfying to us. So we demanded that they perform that specific romance for our satisfaction in the tabloids. And when she later dated Vladimir Klitschko, we obsessed over the massive height difference because it fit a visual narrative we found entertaining. We actively constructed these personas for her.
And think about the crushing weight of that. When millions of active prosumers are relentlessly projecting a specific, highly marketable narrative onto you, it creates a psychological prison. You are no longer a person. You are a product that must constantly meet the audience's demands.
Which finally brings us to the twist. The massive revelation from Hayden's 2026 press tour.
This is the part that reframes everything.
It really does. At 36 years old, after decades in the public eye, she publicly came out as bisexual.
Wow.
She admitted in her interviews that she was actually much more into women growing up and that she has been privately dating women for years, completely out of the public eye.
A revelation that forces us to reevaluate every single public relationship we just discussed.
Literally all of them.
But the crucial question is, why hide such a fundamental part of who you are for so long?
Well, according to Hayden, it was a survival tactic. It was the paparazzi hunting her down. It was the total lack of privacy. It was the immense pressure to appear as the perfect, marketable young starlet navigating a very rigid, heteronormative Hollywood machine.
The pressure must have been unbearable.
She heartbreakingly confessed that she feared if she came out, society and the media would just dismiss her sexuality as a quote-unquote trend. She didn't want the core of her identity to be turned into just another fleeting tabloid headline for us to consume.
If we look back at the academic framework, we can understand exactly why she felt that way and how our behavior validated those fears. The study discusses the uses and gratification theory, originally proposed by Katz and Blumler.
Okay, what does that theory tell us?
This suggests that active audiences consume media for 4 very specific motives. And if we break them down, we can see exactly how the public failed her.
Let's unpack those motives because I think everyone listening will recognize themselves in at least one of these. What's the first one?
The first motive is surveillance. This isn't as sinister as it sounds. It just means using media to gather information about the world. It's the impulse behind doom scrolling. We consume celebrity scandals just to know what's going on, to feel informed about the current cultural climate.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the second motive is personal identity. This is when we use media to understand ourselves. We look for role models, people who reflect our own struggles, to validate our own lived experiences.
I can guess the other two. The third has to be personal relationships, right?
You got it.
Using celebrity gossip as social currency. It's the water cooler effect. You read about Hayden's dramatic breakups. You have something to text your group chat about.
Yeah.
It facilitates human connection for us at the expense of them.
You hit the nail on the head. And the fourth motive is diversion, pure, unadulterated escapism. We want entertainment to distract us from the stress of our own lives.
So mapping those 4 motives onto Hayden's secret, the tragedy is that society consumed her life almost entirely for surveillance and diversion.
Almost exclusively.
We obsessed over the age gap with Milo, we gawk at the physical differences with Vladimir, and we morbidly consumed the abusive turmoil with Brian. We used her trauma to distract ourselves.
And because of that ravenous demand for drama, she was completely denied the opportunity to offer the personal identity motive to the audience.
That is so unfair.
It is the ultimate cost of the active audience's demands. Because she was forced into this rigid box by the media machine and by an audience demanding a specific type of heteronormative performance from her, LGBTQ plus youth who might have desperately needed to look up to her couldn't see themselves in her.
Right.
She wasn't allowed to be a mirror for them because she was too busy being a distraction for everyone else.
This connects so perfectly back to her inability to say "I love you" to Milo Ventimiglia. By consuming her life purely as entertainment, by being this aggressive, active audience, we actually prevented her from finding the courage to form real, authentic, emotional attachments.
Hayden herself confirmed this. She stated that hiding her truth, keeping this massive, fundamental part of her identity a secret from the world, kept her from fully letting herself become emotionally attached in her relationships. The secret created an impenetrable barrier.
It makes total sense. I mean, how can you look someone in the eye and say a deeply grounded, vulnerable "I love you" when you are simultaneously burning vast amounts of psychological energy, hiding a massive part of who you really are?
You just can't.
The child star compartmentalization we talked about earlier wasn't just about acting on a set anymore. It became a mandatory survival mechanism for her real identity in the real world.
The active audience's demand for a fictional narrative actively hindered her ability to live a truthful one. But, it's worth asking how the other people caught in this media ecosystem processed the damage.
Well, absolutely, because Milo initiated that 2009 breakup,
Right.
but he was dealing with the intense fallout of that public scrutiny too. And his response, with the benefit of years of hindsight, is incredibly revealing.
Later in the episode, we promised a twist about his reaction, right? What did he say?
Well, in a 2017 interview with Mr. Porter, Milo was asked to reflect on dating his co-star. And he started off incredibly blunt. He just said, "Never do it again."
Which is the most natural human reaction possible to a highly publicized workplace romance that ended in a media circus.
Totally. But then he elaborated with a surprising amount of grace. He said he wouldn't actually change a thing about it. He said that getting knocked over the head in life is what builds your perspective.
That's a great way to look at it.
It really is. It teaches you a better way of doing things. He recognized that the industry there is on you, the relationships wear on you, but those painful public experiences shape who you ultimately become. He found a way to extract wisdom from the spectacle.
It's a very grounded perspective. He recognized that the pain of that public breakup was instrumental in his own development. And it seems Hayden, in her own way and on her own timeline, has finally arrived at a similar place of peace.
She really has. In her essay, she talks about what her life looks like now. After a lifetime of being the center of the media's attention, of having her every move interpreted, judged, and consumed by millions of prosumers, how does she actually decompress?
How does she do it?
She escapes into sci-fi and fantasy books.
Oh, I love that. It's a beautiful reclamation of her own psychology.
It is. She uses those books to finally quiet her mind. She is actively choosing her own diversion on her own terms rather than being forced to serve as the diversion for everyone else. She's taking back her agency as a consumer rather than just being the consumed product.
And that reality turns the focus squarely back onto you, the listener, because we all participate in this celebrity media ecosystem. The active audience theory proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are not innocent bystanders.
We really aren't.
We aren't passive. Every click on a gossip site, every comment on a TikTok edit, every shared article in a group chat is a form of active participation. We are the ones fueling the machine.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next on this show, because we are going to keep challenging how we look at these systems.
So the next time you click on a juicy headline about a celebrity's downfall, it's worth pausing to ask yourself, which of those four motives is driving you? Are you genuinely seeking personal identity and connection? Or are you just looking for a quick diversion at a real human being's expense?
That is the uncomfortable question we have to sit with. We started this deep dive looking at an 18-year-old girl hysterically crying over a toilet as her world crumbled while the cameras flashed outside. We wanted to know why her romance failed. We thought we were just reading a story. But if we are already prosumers, actively writing scripts for real people and forcing them to hide their true identities just to survive our scrutiny, what happens in a few years when AI and deepfakes allow us to literally generate these realities on demand?
Oh, that is a terrifying thought.
Right. If we are this ravenous for drama now, will we even need real celebrities to obsess over in the future? Or will we just invent human avatars to torture for our own entertainment? Something to think about. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.